A long time ago, when a small country named Philippines has not been discovered yet by the Spaniards and the other foreign nationalities in Laguna de Bay, there was a small sitio named Baras. It was an old town that is part of Morong and Tanay, and there were very few villagers residing in it. The primary source of income of the people living in the town is basically the agricultural aspect of the place, such as clearing the forest, cultivation of rice fields, planting of vegetables, sweet potatoes, corn, root crops, etc. Another source of their main income is fishing. They catch different kinds of fish in the lake of Laguna de Bay. Because Sitio Baras is separated in three parts, such as the mountain, which is full of huge trees on it, the plains which they plant their crops at, and the lake of Laguna de Bay. Back then, when Sitio Baras didn't have its own independence yet, there was a game called Sikaran that surfaced, the Filipino art of foot fighting, that uses feet as the main weapon, while the hands are used as a shield or defense or to throw opponents. Baras was founded on the year of 1595 through the Franciscan missionaries, and because the place was lacking priests that time, Baras was considered Morong's visita. And on the year 1906, Baras has been considered as a small town of Tanay, and on the year 1920, it separated itself and claimed its own independence as a town. The kind of games at the town of Baras during the time were patintero, shaped as a patty. It is a game in which they draw a line on the ground using water or ash from a bonfire. It's a game consisting 3 or more players, and the person who is at the stake at the game will lead their team members, and it is assigned at the straight line in the middle. That person will be the one to declare when the game would start, and those other team members which are assigned in the horizontal line should extend their hands so that the opposing team will not be able to pass through them. They are free to run while extending their hands so that they could easily tag or touch the opposing team. Taya means they are the losing team, so they need to stay inside a line they created using water or ash from a bonfire. The second game is called tago-taguan, or hide and seek. This is a game in which the person who loses will have to go to a tree that serves as a boundary or landmark and will face the tree, blocking the view while the other players hide themselves as he continually counts. After that, the taya or the person's stake at the game will look for them, and the first one that they are able to find will be the one who loses. The third game is called KARERA ng BANGKA, or boat regatta. They row on the river consists of 2 to 4 boats that compete against each other. They will conduct a race and try to outdo each other, and the fastest boat or the first one to reach the finish line will be the winner. The fourth game is called BUNO sa TUBIG, or water wrestling. This is a kind of game in which they play every time that they will take a bath in the river or on a small stream. It is a wrestle game conducted in the water, and the water level should be until the chest part. The player should be carried by the other team member and on their shoulder, a game which is played by pair in each team. This could be played by 2 or more than teams in pair and wrestle with each other using their hands and arms while on the water. The one who is left standing will be the one considered the champion. And the fifth game, called LUKSOng BAKA, or cow jump, is a game in which more than 3 players fight with each other. The losing player will be bent, while the other players will have to jump over on him or her. The losing player will have to bend higher and higher until the other players are not able to jump over him or her and will get launched. The person who will get caught will be the new losing player and will have to bend so other could jump over them. The sixth game, called Sabuyan ng Putik, or Mad Flip, is a kind of game which is played by 2 or more players. They throw mud with each other using their hands. They will throw mud at different body parts of other players, including the face, and ended up being a competition called Sikaran, the ancient art of Filipino foot fighting. Sikaran is a type of game or competition that uses the feet to attack, while hands are used to parry attacks and throw someone off. The game Sikaran was discovered and learned by the young farmers of the town Baras while they were working on their own rice field, plowing it to prepare for when it's time to plant the rice. The primary food of people in the Katagaluhan region is rice. According to the natives, back in the old days, young farmers work on their own rice fields, irrigating it first to soften the soil and harvesting weeds throughout the year, and after a few days, plowing it to plant the rice. And every time they rest before they deploy their carabaos or water buffalo in the river or creek, what they do first is throw mud on each other's face and body. Once they're covered with mud all over their body and face, they will ride their own carabaos or water buffalo all together and would race towards the river or creek to let the carabaos sink in the water, bathe, and regain strength. Carabaos cannot take the extreme heat in the afternoon. After bathing their own carabaos, they will then wrestle in the water. Mud fight is their usual game, and the teenagers' reason is it's fun. They do not know how to fight or hurt people because they are respectful, loving of their parents and selves, and they fear God. One time, while playing mud fight on body and face, they weren't as content or happy. And so to intensify their mud fight on the body and face of their playmates, they use their feet. They kick the mud at first, they're just kicking the mud towards their playmates, but later on they learn it gets in the eyes, so they kick the mud at first, they're just kicking the mud towards their playmates, but later on they learned it gets in the eyes, so they dip the tip of their toes in the mud and flick it towards the face and body of their playmates. Their goal is not just to cover their opponents in mud, but to inflict pain too, in a way that they dip their toes in the mud and flick it towards their opponents, that when it hits them, they get a speck from their eye that prevents them from looking at their playmate, until they hit each other's body and one of them falls. From there, they got the idea for the game, kicking each other's body until one of them drops on the ground and loses. Due to their immense foot and arm strength, they are well trained and used to farming activities, while their arms for boat rafting every time they fish in the bay. The logging of timber and harvesting of rice and vegetables using patulang. Patulang is compared to a basket, but it's made of bamboo. From the rice fields, from the mountains, where they get their livelihood from until their homes, walking barefoot daily that their feet are dense and wide. So anyone who gets hit by their kick in any part of the body falls and surrenders from strong impact. At first, Sikaran is mud fight, where the game originated, is played only by the young farmers in the rice field every time they have to work in the fields because there's mud. But when they discovered this game, it became a competition or a contest of their strength, and they learned to play it all the time, may it be rainy or sunny, especially when it's harvest time. Almost everyone from the village is in the fields, whether men, women, or children. Because of their so-called camaraderie or bayanihan, they help each other to quickly finish harvesting rice in the field. It gives speed and strength to them. If there are a lot of people watching their battle or competition, especially when women are watching their fight or contest, that's when they feel a different feeling. They get embarrassed if they receive a blow on their body and they fall, until it came to a point where women became their inspiration during contests. At first, it didn't bother them that they fall or collapse, but later on, they could no longer accept it in themselves that they would fall or get beaten. That's why they learned to improve their knowledge of kicking.